all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I want. How can I say it? I mean, if it's a horror movie or it's sci-fi, I don't care if it was made in the late 40s or the 2017. I mean, if it's on TV, I hate to say it. I mean, I watch it, and I've been stuck.
Game.
I've been stuck doing this honestly since I was a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife likes.
Did you ever see the giant spider? I'm forgetting the name of it. I think it was either in the 40s or the 50s, where I think it was a guy in Wisconsin actually, where he giant radioactive spiders that would chase people and eat them, and I'm totally forgetting the name of the movie and the name of the director. It's all good though. Your spider story is making me think of all these spider-related creepiness.
Well, there was one I remember that they did a nuclear bomb test in Nevada, and it was probably made in the early 50s, mid-50s, and this big spider developed from the radiation, and it was actually devouring. It kept getting bigger and bigger. And then, it would start, people would be driving their car, and then all of a sudden the person was gone. The cattle was gone. I mean, hey, it was hungry. I guess it would, and then, the military is out trying to shoot it with their M1s, and machine guns and their tank, shooting at it. I hate to say it. Some of the sci-fi or horror movies, I hate to say it, the ones that most people would sit there and just laugh at it because it's so ridiculous, or the guy in the lizard suit, where you can see the zipper when he's turning around, with the buggy eyes and all that stuff. I mean, I guess back, when I was a kid, in the 60s and late 50s, that would scare the what out of me. Now I look at it and I go, oh, wow. I mean, did people actually watch this?
Well, when you're a kid, though, I mean, things are. I remember seeing Jaws and stuff when I was little, and I just remember being so freaked out by it. And I still am a little bit freaked out by the whole idea of a shark attack, But I see some of the scenes from that now, and I'm like, oh, that looks really, really, really fake. Like, I get why this is. I don't know. Yeah. What really. I've seen some movies in the past, in the past few years, actually. There was a movie that came out that it was kind of dealt with a little bit of like a ghost possession type thing, and I think the name of it was Annabelle or something, and it was...
That sounds familiar.
Part of it that... Yeah, it was in the past... It would have been in the past 4 or 5 years that came out. But what scared me so much was... There was this part of the movie where they kind of, you see on the TV, like in the house, there's a family that lives, and there's, on the TV though, in the background, if you pay attention, you see that they're talking about Charles Manson and the Manson murders. And I was watching that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the way that they tied in like real life events to this kind of ghost, paranormal thing that was happening. To this family, I was like, they did such a good job, because I was like, oh, like that totally freaks me out. It just freaks me out. The whole Manson story freaks me out, but the way that they had these, because what happens in the movie is two of the people from the Charles Manson murders. It's kind of, they weave it together so that two of them break into this family's home, and that's one of them dies, and then that's how this possession happens. And it was very clever, I thought, how they wove that together. Just pulling in something that is a part of our sort of unfortunate American culture, pop culture pastime with the Manson murders and things like that. It was very well done. But that's what freaked me out. It was taking something like that and tying it into something that I'm familiar with, that's real and very, very palpable. It's not just this kind of theory. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, Have you ever had any paranormal things happen on the set or on a location where you're out filming? Because most movies nowadays are actually a majority of them are. Because I've had a couple producers and directors on my show, and because of budgets and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff now is done on location rather than a studio. And have you been in any places that were, really eerie and, kind of made you nervous doing this, your scene?
I have not been on any sets where, I haven't been on any sets where I felt like there was something going on as far as super eerie or anything like that. I say that, and as I'm thinking through it, I mean, I've been on sets where we're shooting out in the middle of nowhere. I actually shot a really specific film called, at the time it was called Cross Lake 3. And I was playing a paranormal investigator who was looking into some of the kind of alien sightings that have been reported around the Great Lakes.
Uh-huh.
And we filmed right around in the woods, right around some of the Great Lakes. Obviously being up here in Minnesota, we're right by Lake Superior and Lake Michigan and stuff like that. But it was interesting just to. I guess I didn't feel like it was eerie shooting them. I mean, being out in the middle of nowhere and things like that. What really struck me. I'm assuming because you've been, it sounds like you travel a fair amount on your motorcycle and stuff. Like being out in the wilderness, it's so beautiful and it's so glorious and stuff. What struck me when we were filming that though was trying to kind of recapture this story that was loosely based on real accounts. I was like, this isn't along the shores of the Great Lakes and stuff like that. This isn't a scary place. Like it's not a. It's very beautiful. It's very picturesque. So I just kept thinking when I was out there, I was just like, I don't think that people were nuts. Like I don't think that their takes on this would be based on we're in an eerie place, because it just is. It's a beautiful place. If that makes sense. I don't know. It was interesting as an actor to kind of be looking at it from the perspective of what was the people that were actually experiencing this. What was their mindset and where were they at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to be out in the middle of the woods or whatever, filming part for. Yeah, of course I'm not an actor, but I don't think I could ever wanted to be actually, or could have been, because I'm just not talented. I have a hard enough time talking to you right now. Now. How old were you when you started getting the urge to act? I mean, did it start when you were a kid, or
I was quite young. Yeah, I started when I was a kid. My parents and stuff. It was really important to my parents that me and my siblings not have that stage fright or anything like that. So my mom would have us, involved in plays and stuff from a young age. When I was about 16. I actually told my mom, I was like, I really, really like acting and I'd like to get into it. And to her credit, she didn't miss a beat. She was like, that's great. How are you going to do it? We're not really connected in the industry or anything like that. So how are you going to do it? Figure it out. And that led me, I went to my local library and got every book I could get my hands on acting and the entertainment industry, and from there kind of dived into, reaching out to, starting to act in plays, and from there, kind of building up a resume, and the rest is history, I guess. I've been really fortunate to be able to work on some, like more recently, in the past couple of years, some larger budget projects. I did a film with Woody Harrelson that came out last year called Wilson.
What's that? What's that a little bit about, without giving the plot away?
It's based on a graphic novel by Daniel Clowes, and it's called Wilson. And it's about a man who it's interesting in that it touches on a couple of different genres. So as far as the plot goes, it's kind of about this really prickly older man who's he discovers that he has a daughter that he did not know that he had. So his estranged wife, he has to go find her and be like, oh, we have a kid that you never told me about.
Uh-huh.
And then they go and they find the daughter, and a little bit of, it's a very hilarious, it's very dark as well, like some of the things that happen. It's like, wow. Woody Harrelson, he plays Wilson, ends up in prison, and I am his prison cellmate. So
now, was that good or bad?
As far as prison cellmates go, it's good. You would want you'd want me as your prison cellmate. I'm a really nice guy and I care. There's some really
okay. You weren't one of the guys, right? It would sit there and find pieces of metal and shank people, right? In the movie.
Nope. But there's definitely some elements of that. There's a couple of the characters in the prison that you would not want to be their prison cellmate. They'll either kill you or they'll do other things to you, and you definitely would want my character as your cellmate.
Oh wow! Now, was that filmed in a real prison?
It was, yes, it was. It's funny because for a lot of the prison scenes, they shot in. There's a place here in Minnesota called the Stillwater Prison. And pretty much everybody's heard of Stillwater Prison if you're around Minnesota. It's a pretty intense experience if you stay in Stillwater. You're there you've done something pretty intense to land yourself in Stillwater. So they shot some of the stuff there. When they shot my scene in particular, I thought this was fascinating. We shot in a prison, not Stillwater Prison, but in a prison. And we shot on the basketball court, and on the basketball court, they actually brought in and they built a small cell.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was so weird, because I was like, why? I don't understand why we're in a prison, and then we're on a basketball court in a prison cell that was fake. It made me chuckle. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what's going on right now, but yeah, there's some prison scenes in there. So if you get an opportunity to check it out, you'll see some of the Stillwater prison and some of my stuff too, which is a fake prison cell.
So how was he to work with?
Oh, Woody was fantastic. Woody was fantastic to work with. Really, really down to earth, kind. He's one of those kind of actors who I would say I call him. He's an actor that really gives a lot. Meaning he kind of likes to play around and just a really overall good guy, very good guy. And it was fun too that we were on a basketball court because in between scenes he's that actor he was in that movie White Men Can't Jump. So,
oh yeah.
He was showing me some of his skills so that he still knows how to slam dunk and stuff. So it was pretty fun.
Oh, sounds like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that project and that process and stuff. But yeah, I can't complain. I can't complain. Like I said, I feel very fortunate to be making my way through some of these projects and things like that. So,
well, Paul,
it makes me happy.
Paul, what was the worst stinker of a movie you ever was on? I mean, one that you really look back at it and go, "Oh my God, did I do that?"
Do you mean, okay, question for you. Do you mean like hardest movie to work on, or do you mean like movie where it's like I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing?
Yeah, like it really sucked and I'm embarrassed to be in it, that type of movie. Maybe like nobody will go see it. Maybe it'll never be on cable TV. Maybe it won't be at one of those rental places.
Oh my gosh! I will say this, and your listeners may appreciate this as well. There's probably 50 to 100 short kind of student type film projects that I've worked on that are on YouTube. And I have to say, there's more than one or two of those where I look at that and I cringe. I'm just like, wow, that I did this one. It's there's a part of me that loves how cringeworthy it is, I don't know if you like watching movies where it's like, wow, that's so bad.
What didn't I just tell you? I like watching on Comet TV.